Now let's look at some statistics, right? Let's look at some statistics, all right? About 19% of truckers in the U.S. 19% of truckers in the U.S. are immigrants. 19%. All right. Now that could be a big number to some. It can be a small number to others. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual wage for truck drivers in 2020 was 47,000. However, many drivers reported earning significantly less, especially when starting out. All right. Immigrant truckers, and this is where I think a lot of people have an issue with immigrant truckers. Often, especially owner operators, are often willing to accept lower wages and tougher working conditions and are seen as contributing to the wage suppression. Now, here's the thing, and this goes into what I always talk about when it comes to business and competition and things of that nature. You can't exclude them as far as the competition. If the government allows them to come in, and here's the thing, I did some research. I'm not an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant, so I don't, certain things I have to go research before I talk about it. I don't, subscribe to, starting businesses and applying for businesses, or if I was an employee applying for a job the way an immigrant would apply for the job because I'm an American, right? So I did a research. I did a Google on can, a green card, a person who holds a green card who's not fully a citizen, but like a permanent resident, right? So a green card, can they apply for a CDL, right? The answer is yes, right? Now, that puts them in the competition pool, right? Now, I know a lot of people hear me talk about migrants, all right? Migrants and immigrants are two different things, right? A migrant is a person who has came over here who's illegal, right? They're illegal. An immigrant is a person who's gone through the proper processes and procedures and paying whatever they need to pay. And this is a long process. It's a lengthy process. And from my understanding, I'm not an immigrant. From my understanding, it can be an expensive process. I don't have an issue with those, with immigrants, right? So here's the thing. If a person comes over here legally and they go through the process, even if they're just a permanent resident with a green card and they can apply for a CDL, it puts them in a competition pool. Now, as an American, you have to understand this, and this is business. This goes back to the research part. Now, people say, oh, well, I don't need to do my research. Buddy ass over there talking all this market analysis and this business plan. He don't know because he's not out here. This, da, da, da. None of that shit matters because you got to get out here. Let me explain something to you. This is why you have to understand and do your research. This competitive analysis, this would be a part of it, right? Now, let's go back to what we talked about because it kind of correlates with what I talked about yesterday. Personal life choices. They're in the competition pool now. Now, you as an American who grew up as an American, you have to understand you're entitled. Now, this immigrant may come from a third world country. Some type of way they made it here. They went through the process procedures. They can apply for a CDL. They can get awarded a CDL. And now here's an individual whose life, just all through their life is delayed gratification. Their whole life was delayed gratification. Why? Because they come from a third world country. They're used to struggling and striving and not being in a position that even if you are a poor American, if you're American and you're poor, you could be on government assistance. You could be on EBT. You could have Section 8. You could have EBT. You get the cash on the EBT with the food. You get all the government assistance. You're probably living better than them. To them, you're living luxury. To other Americans, you may be at the bottom of the barrel, but to them, you living like a king, right? So for a person who comes from situations that are even below that level of poverty, which to upper class Americans and middle class Americans is considered poverty, to them that ain't poverty. Their whole life has been delayed gratification. So now they come here, they apply for a CDL, and they're used to living a lifestyle of delayed gratification. So you wonder why, okay, well, they accept lower rates because their cost of living is lower than yours. See, here's the thing when I always talk about competition where people say ignorant things like don't none of that matter. It absolutely does. And here's why. Because you get out there, you don't know what you're doing because you didn't do your business plan. And within your business plan is a competitive analysis. And if you really did a competitive analysis, you would do a deep dive and you would come across this information to understand that. See, me, if I was getting into trucking right now, I would understand this. And then I would weigh the pros and cons. Is this something I really want to do? And if I do this with the understanding of what's happening, right? How am I going to be successful knowing that now this is who I'm competing with at a large number? I consider 20% a large number. I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to come over here, and this is how they beating you. When I tell you don't go out and buy the expensive truck, and you say things like, well, these older trucks break down. I tell you all trucks break down, and you tell me you don't want a truck with a little rust on it and this, that, and third. They're going to go get the old trucks. I'm speaking from an owner-operator perspective. You can look at it from the guy that delivers your furniture. When you go to Ashley Furniture, when you go to Bob's or wherever you go in your market, and it's that one guy on the truck, he speaks a little English. He speaks a little English. He speaks enough English to understand where you want to put the living room set. He going to tell you to sign here. He speaks English. The other two guys on the truck don't speak a lick of English. When you own an operator, you driving across the country, these are the guys. And you see the truck. Hold on, let me get back to it. You see the truck. You see that old Isuzu, probably about a 98 or a 99, maybe a 2002, something like that. That old cab over truck. You went out and you bought a 2018 Freightliner, 2019 Freightliner. They already got you beat there. Now, what you also don't know is them three guys that's on that truck, they not related, but they all live together. What you mean? I'm going to tell you what I mean. Goes back to what I talked about yesterday. Your cost of living, right? Your living expenses. They live together. They'll go rent a house. It may be what you may think may be expensive. To them, it's not expensive because those three guys are out busting their behind, right? And by them living together and combining their families, they're splitting all the costs. So if you were to rent that house with your box truck business, with them renting that house with their box truck business, because they're working together, they're living together, they're sharing everything, their costs get cut. Their costs get cut in a third. See, when they park their truck back at the terminal, they all hop in the same car and go to the same destination. When they get up in the morning to drive to that terminal, they come out of the same address, hop into the same car, drive to the destination, go in, back that truck into the dock, get their route, hop on the truck together, work all day together, come back, park the truck, hop back in the car, drive back to the same address, go in. They got their three wives. Each one of them got about 2 to 4 kids. They all living together, but they splitting the bills 3 ways. So now when you talk about delayed gratification, this is how they're able to run cheaper than you. So then you come with my comment section, and it's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong with that. This is why we're having a discussion now and say, well, they're ruining it and they're taking cheap rates. But then it goes back to what I say, it's competitive. I talk about 1980. I talk about the deregulation of trucking, but you don't want to hear that. You got to get out here and just do it. All that market analysis, that don't matter. Dude is in the crib. He's not out here. I don't need to be out there to tell you how to win. I don't see nobody else telling you how to win. This is why they're taking what you would consider cheap freight. It's not the fact that it's cheap. It's just they can take it and you can't because their cost of living, their expenses are a lot lower than yours. I've never seen an immigrant like a real immigrant, not one that's I'm talking about a real immigrant who's living like an immigrant, who's living like they still over there or down there. Not one of the ones that done came up here and done got Americanized. Man, when I see these guys, they get the oldest equipment. You know why? Because on Sunday when they not running, those same 3 guys that deliver that furniture to your crib, that's working on the truck together, that's all living together, that's all combining. And I know because it's a family across the street from my OG been living like this. I swear it's about 6 families in that house. It's been like that for years. I swear it's a family across the street, about 2 houses down on the other side of the street for years. But I swear it's 6 families in there, about 6, 7 cars, all parked in the driveway. When one person got to get out, 3 of the families got to come and move their car out the driveway so that Nissan Altima can back up because he got to go to work. He usually leave out probably about 4:30. Then they pull back in, and then about an hour later, the other 2 guys, they come back out, pull their cars out the way so that Buddy can come out, and then 2 of them hop in with him, and then they go to work. I swear it's about 6 families in there. I think it's a 3-bedroom. I don't know how they doing it, but they doing it. So everything that I tell people to look into prior to getting into business, this is one of them. This falls under your business plan. See, me, if I was coming into trucking, I would know this already. So I would do what's in my best interest to compete. I wouldn't go out and do all the dumb shit that people do. I wouldn't go out and buy a brand new truck. I wouldn't go out and buy a fairly new truck. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep my costs as low as possible. I wouldn't be able to live the high life because they not living the high life. It's 3, 4 families living in the crib. So to answer your question, this is how they're doing it. They work together, they live together, they play together. On Sunday, when that truck is not running, you see all 3 of them out there in the driveway, or they go to wherever the truck is parked, they take their tools, and they working on their own truck. They're mechanically inclined. You see them out there working on their truck, they changing their own brake. They changing their own brakes. They cutting costs every which way possible. So here's the thing. As more come into this country the legal way, and if you have thoughts, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Feel free to come on and share your thoughts. As long as they keep coming to the country legally or illegally, because the ones that have come illegally, they are eventually going to be legalized. We see it happening. We see the processes happening now. My governor, first governor, that has granted migrants. You go to any DMV in the city of Chicago, it's a long line. It ain't people that look like me. It ain't Caucasians. It ain't even Americanized or first generation Hispanics. It's all migrants because my governor said, hey, effective July 1st, if you are a legal alien or a migrant, go on down to the Illinois Department of Motor Vehicles. We're going to give you a driver's license. To me, that's a step towards legalization. Here's somebody who crossed the border illegally. Now, in the state of Illinois, they can get a driver's license, which I would think now they can go apply for a CDL. So even if they can't apply for a federal CDL, they still have an Illinois driver's license, which still gives them the ability to go out and work and do transportation jobs, whether it's gig, Uber, Lyft, or go to a 3PL and drive for a company. Or if old Marky Mark wanted to ramp back up, I could go hire him because they got a driver's license. Guess what? A lot of them still live in the migrant shelters. You drive past the migrant shelters this year here, they don't look like last year. When you drove past them last year, they were outside. They were sleeping outside the police station. Drive past the migrant shelters this year. They have cars. You see them coming out the migrant shelter, hopping into their cars, going to the jobs that have hired them. You come downtown Chicago, I was talking about on the Discord yesterday, you would think you was in DR. You would think you was in DR. You would think you was in Honduras somewhere. Downtown Chicago is full of, you go to the South America, you see how they ride on the scooters with the basket on the back, doing the deliveries and shit like that. That's what you see, scooters everywhere with plates with Illinois plates because they have Illinois driver's license. You go downtown, you see them on the $1,500 e-bike zooming through the streets, delivering Grubhub, doing DoorDash. So they're not just infiltrating the trucking industry, they're infiltrating all industries. And guess what? Once they finish, they go right back to that migrant shelter where they're not paying any rent. They're already getting government subsidies. They're getting EBT. They're getting $300 to $400 a day. They're getting a free phone. They're getting free health care. So these are the facts. All right, business owner. You can't complain about it. It is what it is. So if you still want to come into this business, you can't complain. When you're a business owner, you have to know what you're up against and do what's in your best interest to compete. Listen, it is what it is. From the legal side, it is what it is. Forget the migrant side. Forget the illegal migrants, because they really, if you complaining now, they finna, listen, damn, man, I say I ain't gonna cuss, but check this out. They finna fuck you up. Listen, the immigrants that migrated over here legally don't want them here because they know what they finna do. They ain't even paying no rent. Listen, call me a liar if you want. I will go do a live stream and I'll go to one of these migrant shelters and we'll pull up and you'll see them all coming in and out, coming out the shelter, hopping into their cars, going to work. They got McDonald's uniforms on. They got the scooters. They doing the and they ain't paying no rent. So how much money you think they saving? So you complaining about the immigrants who already are used to a lifestyle of delayed gratification, and the immigrants is worried about the migrants. So guess what, business owner? That's what business owner. You got to do what's in the best interest, which goes back to what I talked about yesterday. What you gonna do? You got two options. You either gonna make more money or you gonna cut your costs somewhere. You either gonna make more money or you gonna cut your costs. If you don't do one of those two things, then just go ahead and give up, fail. You gonna fail anyway. If you don't do one of those two things, then it leads to failure. You're gonna cut your costs or you're gonna make more money. Or fail. The fact of the matter is, competition is competition, regardless of the circumstance. Their competition, right? Because they practice more delayed gratification than what you're practicing. All the way down to living 3 or 4 families in a 2-3 bedroom home. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. That competition ain't no difference than, let's say, me coming in, who knows this industry inside and out, who's going to go out and acquire older trucks, who's going to keep my costs down, and I'm going to come into that terminal that you running, and I'm going to take your food off the table. You can't be like, well, man, Mark, you got way more years. You know how to navigate. It's not fair. These old guys that's been in trucking for over a decade coming in and messing the game up for us because we still learning. We still trying to go through the learning curve. That ain't fair. Listen to how that shit would sound. So because I'm more tenured and more knowledgeable and I just decide to come into your facility and just take your food off your table because I know how to take your food off your table because I'm not doing the shit that you doing. Because you listen to a buddy ass telling you to go rent a truck and go buy the brand new truck and you don't know your cost per mile. You don't know your operational costs. And because you want to go to the club every weekend and, have bottle wars and the fucking goddamn bottle girl walking around the club holding up the sign, the purge, your bottles coming through the club with getting out the mud truck and LLC on the sign and everybody looking and following you. And now the baddies done made their way over to the section. And I know better than that shit. What's the difference? It's competition. Competition is competition is competition. You ain't trying to compete. because you just want to come out here and do it. That shit don't mean nothing. Okay. I'm going to keep showing people how to win. I'm going to keep, when people say things like that, it's not me coming back at them. It's just me putting things in perspective. It is what it is. See how people come in and then they leave. And these are the same people that's in my DM. And this is why I stopped responding. This proves the point. This is why a minute amount of people win. Majority people fail. Majority people fail. Only a minute amount of people win. So if I was new coming into the industry, I wouldn't say shit like that. It wouldn't bother me because I would already know that's what I'm up against. If I want to start a landscaping business, I know what I'm up against. I know Migo and them cutting the yard for $40-$50 now. So I got to do what's in my best interest to cut the yards for $30. Whatever I got to do to cut the yards for $30. Do I got to cross state lines and make sure I fill up enough 5-gallon gasoline jugs where I'm saving 30-40 cents a gallon? So throughout the day, I'm filling up my lawnmowers and my equipment, and the fuel is costing me less than stopping in the middle of the city of Chicago, filling up for $5 a gallon. God damn it, then that's what I got to do. If I got to, be out there in the field cutting grass myself, do I got to cut my profit margin down personally, right? My pay down so that I can acquire more jobs because I have to keep my costs low, right? When I'm charging the customers so that I can acquire more clientele so that I can make my money in volume, then that's what I got to do because I understand Migo and them got landscaping on lock and they all ready for the load though. So I have to figure out a way, understanding this, coming into an industry that's predominantly dominated by Migo and them and they already on the load though. I'm going to do the research and do whatever I need to do so that I can come in and undercut them. Well then, man, Mark, you messing it up. You driving down the race. Okay, so be it. Why? Because I'm still making money. I understand. Well, listen, the only way I'm going to make money is in volume. I got to have a multitude of clients and I got to do at least 20 yards a day. So be it. Fuck it. This is what I'm choosing to do. This is what's got to be done in order for me to compete. Fuck it. Hold on a second. So I'm not tripping on if I was coming into trucking and worried about Buddy Ass and them, Migo and them. It wouldn't even bother me. You know why? Because the same equipment that they run around, you seen the 2 trucks that I kept. They 05s. Them going to be the first 2. And if I go and I build back up, the truck that I acquire going to be right around that same year. I'm not worried about it. You know why? Because I'm going to take it to the truck repair shop that's ran by them, and they all ready for the load, though. I'm not paying $200 and $250 an hour to get shit repaired. I'm paying $135. I'm taking it to Migo and them. I'm going to utilize them. You take your shit to Chicago truck repair over there all 55 with all the Mack trucks and all the white boys over there. They a real diesel. They went to school and all them schools and they got all them corporate accounts and they got that big 1 million square foot, beautiful, beautiful facility with all the trucks and shit. Nah, man, I'm taking my shit right over there to Migo and them where they got the oil. When you walk into the shop, you sliding all over the place and shit. Fuck, I'm going over there. I got a 05s and 06s. I'm taking my shit to Migo. I'm finna save me $100 an hour. You ain't do your research. You don't even know where to take your truck to get repaired for the low though. So keep complaining. Keep complaining, and that 19% is going to creep up to 20, going to keep up to 21, going to keep up to 22. It's going to keep creeping. You know why? Because you don't want the job. The shit that they willing to do, you not willing to do it. The shit that they're willing to do, you not willing to do it. So not only are they willing to do it, they're willing to do it cheaper than you because they can afford to do it cheaper than you. See, they not They not having bottle wars on the weekend. They working 6, 7 days a week, and if they working 6 days a week, that 7th day, I swear for God, you see them working on their trucks. They got their Coronas, their Modelos. They out there under the truck, working, changing brakes, doing whatever they need to do for that truck because they heard a little something during the week, but they thugged it out. That truck gonna be ready Monday though. I bet you that truck be ready Monday morning. Pull up to the dock Monday morning about 5 a.m. The truck gonna be there because they spent all day Sunday about the break of dawn. They was under that bitch, doing whatever needed to be done, getting ready for that next work week. What I keep telling people, they come in, they say this dumb shit, and I say, well, you don't know business. You understand business, you can run any business and you know how to compete. Like, who said you got to look a certain way? Like, why do people think they got to come out here and they going to go get all these expensive trucks and shit and this shit, and they over here, this way up here when the margins are way down here and the margins are getting tighter? The margins ain't getting, why the margin getting tighter? Okay, you waiting for a correction. What do you mean? This is the way it is. This is normal. I'm telling you, I've been in trucking for a long time. I've even showed you rates from over 10 years ago, and they were the same. So check this out. Where do you think, with an influx of immigration coming in, who understand delayed gratification, where, like, the rates are going to stay similar? They're going to stay similar. Told you yesterday. You got two options: make more money or cut your expenses. Migo and them ain't paying no truck note. Listen, they going on Penske once they work enough money. Listen, I'm looking at migrants. This is listen. This is true. I'm not making this up because it just sounds good for content. I'm telling you the truth. When they first got hit last year, I'm paying attention to this. When they first got here last year, they were sleeping outside in the cold. They weren't used to it because they come from third world countries where it doesn't get this cold. They out there freezing, thugging it out in the cold. It gets wind chill below 40, 50 here. The police put their ass out, said y'all can't sleep inside the police station. Y'all bringing measles and lice and shit. We had lice outbreaks and shit. They were sleeping outside in the cold. This year, they went from, in 1 year, they went from coming here, nothing, not having nothing, not knowing nothing, not even understanding north, south, east, and west, to having cars, $2,000 e-bikes. They ain't, they ain't got the ones, they ain't got the retros. We call them the Mexican mics. They got like the crossover Team Jordans. They ain't trying to get a little drippy. But the point that I'm saying is, here's some individuals that have come here within a year with nothing, and I see in a year they've gone from nothing to something. And the something may not be a lot to you and I, but based on the circumstances and the situation, when you really look at it, it's a lot. And then if you look at the assistance that they're getting, it's even more, which is why they can undercut you. You're not see, and here's the thing. This is why I don't say, like, where is people comprehension and if you see immigrants that have come over here legally. We were on the Discord the other day, and it was an immigrant that said, when immigrants, people who have migrated over here legally, saying, listen, we worry about them taking our job, that should tell you something. You worried about the immigrants. The immigrants worried about the migrants. Am I lying? Do what's in the best interest of you and your business. Stop complaining about immigrants, because the thing is, they're not going nowhere. In actuality, we need them, because there's a lot of jobs that people don't want to do, and they're doing the job. So you have to do what's in the best interest of your business. You can't listen, I know they told you that if you got the truck, you was gonna run it up. You can run it up. But with the current cost of living, what you thought you was gonna be able to do, I'm here to tell you, and I've been telling you. Nah, man. Yeah, they gonna keep living 3 to 4 families to a 2-bedroom house. 3 to 4 families. 3 to 4 families to a 2 to 3 bedroom house. They're gonna continue to carpool to work. They're gonna continue to cook food and not eat out. They're going to continue to work on their own trucks, fix their own trucks. They're not only are they going to delay their gratification because they're used to delayed gratification anyway, so the opportunity that's presented to them is like, man, this is the greatest thing on earth. Then when they go to the facilities, they're not going to bicker and complain. They're going to outwork you. They already are out competing you as far as cost is concerned. Now they're going to outwork you. They're not going to play. They're not going to shuck and jive with the operations supervisor and the branch manager on rates and things like that. They're going to accept it because they cost ain't what your cost is. They're going to take the route that you don't want to take. The OTR guys, the company guys, the owner-operator guys that steady falling off because they don't want to stay over the road because Boo Bae blowing them down. When you coming home, they're going to stay over the road for the long time. When they come home, they're just going to impregnate their wife again. You know, they already got, they like kids. They got a bunch of kids. They wife stay at the crib. Notice they wives don't really work. They stay at the crib. You know why? Because the guys are working. How is it that those people, those guys can work, their wives can stay at home and be homemakers? It's almost like they living in the 50s and 60s. They can make enough money to take care of a wife, 4 kids, because they're working extremely hard and their living expenses are extremely low. They are the definition of staying down till they come up. They stay down till they come up. See, you ain't trying to live with 2, 3 other families. And I don't blame you because I ain't finna do that shit either. Listen, I'm entitled to now. Don't get it twisted. I'm an American. I'm entitled and privileged than a motherfucker too. I'm entitled to. I ain't doing it, but they will. They will. They absolutely 100% will. You know why? Because they've been doing it over there. They was doing it over there anyway, except, man, I done been to some third world countries. I've taken excursions outside of the damn all-inclusive. I've taken excursions. I've then went through the jungle. I've seen, when I was in the DR, I was going through an excursion through the jungle, and I remember when they gave us the speech, they said, listen, we finna go through some areas. The natives are going to run up to you. Don't touch them. They not going to touch you. Don't touch them. We go through these jungles. These people living in the jungles in like huts made of pallets. The pallets that you crank up with your pallet jack and push in your truck. They done built huts made of pallets. And the little kids running through, they got smut and dirt on their face. They see us coming through. I'm wondering because, man, the security that's, on the tour, because I done been to a lot of places. I'm like, God damn, why we got guys with guns and the mask on and shit covering up their face? They mobbing, we mobbing through this bitch. And then these people running up to us with dirt and shit on their face. They living in pallet houses and shit, grabbing weeds out the ground. Please, 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 help me. This is how they living. They live in multiple families in pallet houses. And I ain't saying that to be funny. I'm just, for people who haven't really got a chance to experience this or seen it, I'm just want to give you a visualization of kind of what I'm talking about. I've seen people live in huts made of pallets so that they come over here and they can get a job and live 4 families to a real house with real working water, with a bathroom, with a toilet where they can sit their ass down on and close the door. Listen, they can go. I want you to visualize it. Coming from a place made with a pallet to a place, even if it's 3-4 fans, they can go in the bathroom, close the door, sit their ass down, and do what they got to do. They can wash their hands, run in water. Come on, man. Don't complain. Just compete. I hope I gave you an understanding of what you up against. See, you might have not known all this. That's why people write shit in the comment sections like this. Just because I feel a certain type of way about migrants, I don't feel like that about immigrants. I understand immigrants. I understand what they bring to the country in a positive way, and I understand what people's plight is, but it's still competition. They can go get a CDL. Shit been going on. This shit ain't new. This shit ain't new. It's just new to you because you just started business. I remember back in the day whenever you seen construction crews working on building high rises, primarily on the highways. You seen not even old, you just seen white guys. You seen these biker looking white guys with bald heads or these long beards and tattoos all on their neck and tattoos all on the side. This what construction workers look like in the 80s and the 90s and the earlier part of the 2000s, and right around the mid 2000s, later 2000s, going into the 2010s, I seen the dynamic shift to construction. Because in my day, in my earlier days, especially here in this market, construction was one of the industries that was controlled by the mob. Construction was a primarily Caucasian industry. And I'm just using that industry as a comparison because I don't want people to think that it's just trucking. I just want you to understand it's in general in this country. But over time, I saw construction go from predominantly white. Most of them guys look like just badasses, bikers, shit like that, to predominantly Hispanic. I can't find a white guy doing construction to save my life. You know why? Because that generation, that younger generation of children, right, from the boomers, early, boomers, Gen X, their children, late millennials in general, let's say, Gen Z, they don't want to do construction. They don't want to do that shit. They ain't want to stand out in the sun with a jackhammer in the hot ass sun and be lifting shit and moving shit and doing all that shit and dust flying in the air and all this shit and out there in the heat and out there in the cold. They don't want to do that shit. It's predominantly Hispanic. Americans don't want to do certain jobs no more. So you can't really complain. But now this trucking thing, because it was promoted to you, and the link has been to the top of the chat. If anybody got something they want to add, feel free. When it comes to this trucking shit, because misinformation has been perpetuated through influence. The information that I'm giving you, like from the live stream yesterday, from this live stream today, is the information that you need to know. I hate when people say ignorant shit. Shit that don't make sense. There's no such thing as cheap freight. There's something that exists that's called competition. You can't get mad at the next person because they're competing better than you. This is something that you should have known. This is something that you should have prepared for prior to coming into business. But continue to do what's not in your best interest. Continue to listen and say, I'm just going to come out here because Mark ass ain't out here. So he can't tell us about this shit that worked over a decade. This is the same shit. The blueprint is the same. Business is business. Keep dispelling people's false myths. Whatever the shit that these people be telling y'all in these fucking YouTube videos or primarily Instagram. That shit over there is just Instagram and the Facebook groups. Listen, if you listen to anybody on Instagram or a Facebook group, you crazy as hell. But the screenshots that I see from over there are just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let me tell you what I would do if I was coming into the business right now, since don't nobody want to hit the chat up. I'm not going to go buy a new truck. I'm not going to go buy a fairly new truck. I'm going to go buy the most inexpensive, most efficient truck as possible after I take my mechanic with me who does a full diagnostic. I am going to pay a diesel mechanic to do a full diagnostic on some trucks and say, listen, which one of these trucks, this is my price range. I'm going to buy you out for the day. This is what we're working with. I'm going to make sure I got some capital ready, whichever truck we go with, whatever little money I got to put into it to make sure it's up and running. We're going to do that because I understand that my costs need to be low as possible just to compete in general. Now, with the immigrant situation, I understand, but I'm also looking forward to the future. What do I always tell people about forecast analysis? We got over 10 million immigrants that came into the country over the past couple years. Well, not even immigrants, migrants. So over the next couple of years, there are going to be a percentage of them entering into transportation as well. My state was the first state effective July 1st that granted driver's license to illegal immigrants. Illegal. No green card. Illinois state driver's license. The process is already beginning. So understanding what's going on now and understanding what's about to come with an infusion, an influx of 10 million or plus, right? How many of those are going to come into the transportation industry? So now I need to understand, I need to make sure my cost is as low as possible because I'm entering in. So within the next year or two, the same thing that's going on now is probably going to be the same, or it might get a little bit, the road might get a little bit rocky, or, I may have to compete a little bit harder. I'm not going to go out and make sure my cost is sky high. But you know what? I can't go out and get the 2-bed with the office, with the 2 bathrooms, with the glass shower, with the marble floors. Man, I'm probably better off getting this little studio. Or I'm on the road anyway. Let me see if I can stay at Mom Duke's crib. See, these are the things that I would be thinking about coming in, understanding what I'm up against. I wouldn't be out doing what's not in the best interest. I would be prepared for war. I wouldn't be the guy that's in chats and comment sections complaining. I wouldn't be complaining because I'd be too busy competing. I'd be too busy strategizing. Real business owners don't complain. We strategize. We strategize. We don't play checkers. We play chess. The time you spending, you wasting complaining, you could be busy strategizing. All right, man, I fucked up and went and bought this truck. I can't really, my competition, my level of competition, is not where I want it to be because of the overhead, because of this mistake. Where else can I cut at so that I can increase my level of competition? See, instead of complaining, this is the shit that I would be thinking about. I'm in it now. Did you see Michael Jordan complain when Lambeer and them and Isaiah and Rick Mahorn kept fucking him up in 89? Where every time Mike came to the hole, they was fucking him up. Did he complain? What did he do in the offseason? After they lost that Eastern Conference final, what did he do? He got his ass in the gym and he got stronger because they was beating him up. Remember when he came back next year and they walked off and they didn't shake his hand? Did he complain? No, he went in the gym and he got stronger. He said, you know what? I got to come to the hole. They beat me up. I need to get bigger. I need to get stronger. Winners don't complain. They come up with solutions. Winners don't complain. They come up with solutions. You in the game now. See, I told you before, once you get in the game, you in the game. Don't get in the game not knowing how to play the game. Learn how to play the game. This ain't solitaire. You can't play this game for free and learn. Like, you got to have some level of understanding before you jump your ass in this game. We not friends. Ain't no friends. What can I keep telling you about this camaraderie shit? Like, what do y'all think? Like, if I'm in this game, I'm trying to take your head off. I'm not your friend. I don't fuck with you, dude. Listen, we can talk in the Discord. We can kick it online. When I drop the link, I'll kick it with you. Let us run into each other in a terminal. Listen, I'm not your friend. You're gonna see the face from the online face, and I'm stone face on your ass. Nigga, I'm trying to knock your head off. I want your food. I want your money. I want everything. Y'all think I be bullshitting. I'm telling you the dead ass truth. I'm not bullshitting. It's business. It's not personal. I don't have anything personal. I don't think anybody that competes on a high level has anything personal. It's all business. There's an opportunity to present it. May the best man win. Nobody gonna hit the link? Anybody want to hit the link? Any comments, questions, or concerns? Tracy said, don't knock my kids off, Mark. My kids got to eat. Listen. Check this out. If we in the same industry and it's something that we in competition for, your kids is going to be the least of my concern. I'm not going to be like, well, man, I'm going to let him get that. I'm going to bid higher so that he can win it because he got to feed his kids. What's my saying? Don't get offended. It's just business. Fuck them kids. I got to eat too. If I let everybody that got kids beat me to the punch, I'm never going to eat. I got to get it too. And you should be saying the same thing about me and the next guy. Level Sports said, what if your friends talk negative about you? What they got to do with this? What they got to do with anything? What if your friends talk? What does that got to do with what we talking about? Level Sports, what does that have to do with what we talking about? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? We're talking about business. We're talking about competition. We're talking about American trucker versus immigrant. And I just dispelled this whole myth that immigrant truckers are making it bad for American truckers. Immigrant truckers are competing. That's it. That's all. So what does your friends have to do about talking bad? Or I don't understand. Where are we going with this? In businesses, listen, what does friends have to do with business? If I have a friend and we're in the same industry, then we're pulling each other up. If I got leverage, if I'm in the 3PL and I got leverage, I'm having my way in there. And my homie, one of the guys from the land, not just some associate, I'm talking about a guy that's from the land that we shake up with, we under the act together. You dig what I'm saying? Here's what I'm gonna do. If he's my homie like that and I'm having my way in the facility, listen, you got one truck, all right, running under me. I'm gonna give you the majority of the contract. Boom, I'm gonna bring you in under the act. You gonna run under me, and then I'm just gonna let you have 100% of that. Since they won't let you in, I'm having my way in. I'm gonna bring it in. That's my homie. That's my homie. We gonna pull each other up. But if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. I'm taking your head off. Listen, I got plenty of homies through my tenure that I pulled up. When my homies came and worked for me, they was making damn near 30 an hour. The people who I hired, who I didn't know, they wasn't making that. My brother, he worked for me for many years. The position he in now is because of his tenure under me and my relationships. That has nothing to do with it. Your people is your people. Just like my subscribers is my people. That's why we kick it. My subscribers is my people. That's why we kick it. I take my experience and my tenure and I pour into my people so that they can go out and the competition who's not a part of what we got going on, those are the people that we underbid. Those are the people that we undercut. Those are the people that we take food off their table because they have a lack of understanding or they're doing what's not in their best interest or they come out here without a business plan or they don't know they cost per mile. Me kicking it with my people is pulling my people up. If you my people, then we on the same squad. My people, I've done a lot. I've helped people get better insurance rates. You must be new to the channel. Because that has nothing to do. You clearly new to the channel. I've had people that have come up with paying $2,000 a month for insurance. I've put them in tune with my broker and they paying less than 50% off. Guess what? The same insurance company. It was paying $1,800 with Progressive. My broker got them paying $900 with Progressive. Same plan. My people I look out for. My people, we on the same team. If you're not on my team, then you my competition. Not personal, it's business. Friends don't compete. We pull each other up. Oh, I don't know. I'm just an OG with, I guess, an old school mindset. I don't know. But this is what's going on. That's my take on the immigrant American thing. Please stop saying that shit. There ain't nobody taking nothing off nobody. Listen, ain't nobody making it bad. You start a business, if your business is not succeeding, you only have one way to point that finger. Go look in the mirror and point at the mirror. Go look in the mirror and point. All right? If your shit ain't doing good, that's the only person you have to blame. You have to figure out what you're doing wrong in your business. You have to change things in your business so that you compete. You come into this business not understanding the shit that I'm talking about. This is the issue. You can't change it. There's nothing. You're not going to be able to stop immigration. You're not going to be able to stop that shit. So you have to deal with it. Nobody wants to come up. Going once. I'm curious to hear another person's perspective. I was going to allot an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. We just over an hour. Yeah, I'm done cooking. I'm curious to know if somebody else got something they want to say. I see a few immigrants in here. Let me see what some of my immigrant buddies are saying. DJ Starboy, all excuses to justifying why they are not successful, lack of accountability, work ethic, and bad financial decisions on their behalf. Absolutely right, Mark. That's it. My immigrant buddies is agreeing with me. It's business. So, I don't know. Melison, let me just say thanks, champ, for your inspiration. Appreciate you. So hey, all right. Call in show this evening, man. Probably around 7 o'clock, man. I think we already got one person, Michael. If you in here, did I see Michael Manuel in here? Michael Manuel. I know we got one person that's gonna call in that we gotta get some little understanding going on. Rich Juice ain't no friends in business. Only family and friends will mess you over. Family is the ones you're willing to take L's for. People that I rock with, I'm gonna pull you up. Even if I rock with you and you let me down, if I rock with you, I'm gonna pull you up. Because I would expect the same thing from the people that I rock with. We pull each other up, you know what I'm saying? So, I've never really competed against friends in business. I've only pulled them up. A lot of the people that have worked for me that were my friends are still in trucking today. So, I've only pulled people up. If you're not my friend, you're not in my immediate circle or someone that, is a part of my, confines and just, whether it be my family, my friends, my subscribers, then you competition. And I'm absolutely 100. If we're competing, if I'm bidding on a load and you bidding on a load, only one person can get it. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it's me. Why would I want you to win? I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to knock your head off any way, shape, form possible. Like, this is big. Like, I don't understand why people don't understand this. This is not like friends and camaraderie and let me help you out. This is absolutely, positively competition and beating people, beating you to the punch, beating you in the bid, beating you at the place of business, outperforming you so that we can get the better routes. Why do I want to go way out in the boom? Why do I want my trucks going way out in the boondocks? If it's a route right here that's within a 15, 20-mile radius with the same amount of stops where my trucks is burning less fuel, they ain't got to sit in rush hour traffic to get back to the yard because they are 100 miles out and that route is here and you got it and you not performing. We're going to outperform you and we're going to take that route. I've done it plenty of times. No bad feelings. Get on your job, pimp. Get on your job, pimp. You should have showed your ass up. See, you didn't show up to work. We covered your route the last 3 Mondays, and I had a conversation with the operations supervisor. Yes, I did. Listen, we covering this guy's route every single Monday. I got a bunch of trucks in here already. You might as well just let us get that route. We should be rewarded for going above and beyond. We're bailed you out. Every single Monday we bail you out. I need that route. I'm already spending excess amount of money on other routes. We should be rewarded. All right, man, you got it. Buddy bring his ass back. Man, y'all got my route. Yeah, you didn't want it. Man, you got a consistent pattern and not showing. Man, Mark, you bogus. Man, fuck all that. I'm trying to save money each and every way possible because I understand business. I'm not going to leave food on the table. Listen, you got a dedicated route and you don't show your goofy ass up to work. You're leaving, and you leave your freight on the dock, that's leaving food on the table. You left your food on the table and you allow me to scoop up your food. That's your personal problem. Leave your food on. I'm not leaving no food on the table. You think I'm going to leave my freight on the dock for somebody else to cover my load so they can talk shit? And especially if I got a good route, a little 15, 20. Listen, I was fighting for when we had that Office Depot shit, I wanted those city school routes. I wanted the city high schools. I wanted the city grammar schools. I wanted the county buildings downtown. I wanted the medical district. All them guys, I fought for them routes. I fought for them routes. You know why? Because they wasn't that far. I would rather have my trucks, and this is for the people of Chicago, y'all ain't gonna understand. I got tired of sending my trucks way out to Grays Lake, way up to Zion, all the way out to Wheaton, all the way up to Gurney. I got a truck going way out to Gurney every day. Goddamn, near up by the Wisconsin border. Mount Zion and Mount, what all these goddamn northwestern suburbs. Elgin and shit. And then they gotta, once they finish doing their 50 stops way up there, they gotta bring their ass all the way back in the city in rush hour traffic. Paying toll, sitting there. I gotta hear their mouth complaining, man, I was sitting in traffic an hour and 50 minutes to get back to the yard from Elgin. Then don't let it be not rain or snow and shit. Man, I had a truck, I kid you not, took 8 hours to get back to the yard from a Chicago suburb during a snowstorm. No, I'd rather my trucks be right here in the city. So as soon as they finish their route, they about a mile away from the yard. Why? Because it's costing me less fuel. I hear less complaining. It's a more efficient route. My trucks ain't, the mileage ain't kicking up, which is, maintenance, more maintenance issues. I got to do PMs more frequently because of the amount of mileages they do. I understand business. So you got these routes, all these guys at these routes, we scouting them out. I'm knocking your head off. I don't give a fuck about what you got going on. I'm trying to cut my cost. Don't show your ass up to work and leave freight on the dock. And they call me and, hey, Mark, you got another truck. Can one of your guys cover this? Can we split this route that was left on the dock amongst 3 of your trucks? Yeah, you got it. Let me do that shit 2 or 3 times. And let me see a pattern. We're going to have a conversation. You motherfucking right. Keep on thinking that somebody is your friend and gonna look out. Well, yeah, don't worry, we ain't gonna show up. Buddy ass over there with the locks, his company, they gonna cover it for him. They gonna get them the XPO or NAL or whoever you running the contract on it. They gonna get him to cover. He got a bunch of trucks in here anyway. Yeah, we gonna cover it, all right. And while we covering it, I'm taking that shit from you. I will never leave food on the table for another person to come take.